G'day everybody and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. And we're out here today to talk about something that you literally cannot go without when you go out on an adventure ride, and that is tyres. But more specifically, these right here, the Dunlop D606s. I've been meaning to do this video for a little while now, but better late than never, I suppose. Last year when I was planning out my Cape York adventure, I wanted to run a different tyre. I wanted to try something new. I had a quick look around, seen a lot of people run these Dunlop D606s, so I wanted to try them out and see how they go for myself. Now I know I'm not breaking any new ground here with the D606s. They've been around for a long time, and there's plenty of other adventurers out there that use these things. I actually tried to research when they were released, but I couldn't find anything online. So if you guys out there know when they were released and how long they've been around, please let me know down in the comments below, because I couldn't find anything. Now that Cape York adventure, guys, was so much fun. I had a blast, and these Dunlop D606s were put to the test through all types of conditions. We had the mud, we had the sand, we did a lot of bitumen on the way home, rocky stuff, you name it, we've done it with these tyres. So I think I've got a pretty good idea of what the tyres are like and how they perform. So that's why I'm out here today, to give you guys my thoughts on the Dunlop D606s and whether they're an adventure worthy tyre. But also, guys, if you haven't seen that Cape York adventure, I will put a link down below to the first episode of that series. So after this video, you can jump over there and check all that out if you haven't seen it already. So today, guys, I'm going to be ranking these tyres in 3 separate categories. Moving forward into the future, I'd really like to do some more tyre reviews and try out a whole bunch of different ones to see what works for me and what works best. So I've come up with 3 different categories where I can give a score out of 10 for each category, and then at the end we'll add up the total, and that'll be the score out of 30 for the tyre. Now the first category is the cost value for money. Second category is longevity and the kilometres travelled on the tyre, and category 3 is the performance, and that'll be on and off road as well. Now just before we jump into the first category and get this tyre review underway, guys, just going to do a quick read off of how they describe the Dunlop D606s online from the people that are trying to sell them. So what I got here is the D606 is the go-to tyre for serious off-road riding with a dash of street riding mixed in. Long lasting and featuring a full depth knobby pattern, the D606 works in a wide variety of off-road terrain. A full depth tread pattern designed for rigorous off-road use yields excellent traction on everything from hard-packed fire roads to soft single-track trails. D606's tread compound is also engineered for good highway wear and grip. Now all that sounds well and good to me, guys, but let's jump into this review and see how the D606 performs. So it's time for the first category, guys, which is cost/value for money. Now you can find these tyres online, at least in the sizes that I've got here, which is the 130 on the rear and the 90 on the front. You can find them online for anywhere between the 300 to 330 mark. That's from the prices that I've found online at the moment. The cheapest deal that I could find with these as a pair was $305. Now me personally, I run the 130 on the rear. Stock, the DRZ is a 120 tyre, but when I've got extra weight on top doing a big adventure, I like having a little bit extra width on the rear tyre just for a bit of stability. But that's just personal preference. Now when comparing the price of these tyres to some other similar ones online, guys, this one does sit towards the cheaper end of the scale. It's not the cheapest, but it's definitely not the most expensive. It is in that bottom half of pricing, so I would consider them a budget-friendly option for an adventure tyre, but I don't believe they perform as a budget tyre. A bit more on that later in some other categories. The price is probably the first thing most people are going to look at when they're looking to get a new tyre, and for what I've gotten out of these tyres right here, I think they're pretty reasonably priced, so I'm going to score the D606s an 8 out of 10 for their cost and value for money. Now guys, it's time for category number 2, which is longevity and kilometres travelled on the tyre. Now you got to keep in mind that kilometres travelled on the tyre is sort of like the age-old question of how long's a piece of string. Every rider's different. Some riders are going to ride harder than others, which will wear the tyre quicker. They might run different pressures. They might carry different loads on the bike. Might be a more powerful bike, which will wear the tyre quicker as well. So just keep all that in mind when you listen to this review. That results obviously may vary. Now with all that said, guys, this tyre here is the one that I took on the Cape York adventure. It's still on here. It's probably done around the 7,500 kilometre mark total, about 5,000 Ks on the Cape York adventure, and the tyre on the rear there is a new one. The one that I did take on the Cape York adventure got swapped out at 6,000 kilometres. I probably could have taken the rear to 7,000 kilometres if I needed to push it out a little bit further, but I figured if I'm doing off-road riding I might as well change it so I've got some more tread on the back there, so I've got plenty of grip. But yeah, front one 7,500 kilometres to date, and I think this thing will get to 10,000 kilometres for me. I probably will change it a little bit sooner because, as I said, I want to have the most grip I can have, but if you had to, I think the front would get to 10,000 kilometres. So taking in consideration of how aggressive this tread pattern actually is, I think those kilometres travelled is pretty reasonable. reasonable for the type of tyre it is and everything like that. So I'm pretty happy overall how long the tyre tread has actually lasted. So for the longevity category, guys, I'm going to give the D606s a 7 out of 10. A little bit of room for improvement there, but for the type of tyre it is, I think it's done very well. Now the third and final category, guys, is performance. Now that's on and off-road as well. I've been very pleased with how this tyre has gone off-road. Now, as I said, I took it on the Cape York Adventure. So the first actual off-road track that I did on the D606 was the Creb track. It wasn't as wet as it gets there, but it still was slippery clay, plenty of slippery sections, and the rear tyre gripped up perfectly. I was really happy with that thing. And then when you hit those sandy sections all through the Cape, I really love this tyre. The front, to me, felt pretty good for my riding ability anyway. I could go around the corners just as fast as I wanted to and it wasn't an issue. But the rear I was really impressed with. I really like those big chunky tread blocks. They would grip up really well, and when you got into the mud, big chunky tread blocks there would just spit the mud out. If you kept the RPMs up, it would just spit the mud out really easy. So I was super impressed with those in those conditions. So yeah, a great all-round performer in the off-road stuff. Now this tyre is designed and advertised as a 90% off-road tyre, 10% on-road. So obviously you're going to have a little bit of a compromise there when it comes to the on-road stuff. But I think when you ride with a knobby tyre on-road, you've just got to remember you're on a knobby tyre. Don't go pushing into the corner like you're a MotoGP rider on some kind of sports bike. They're just not going to perform like a road tyre. Obviously, if it's wet, you need to lay off the throttle a little bit in those corners or you're going to slip out. It doesn't really matter what off-road tyre you've got. It's not going to be as great on the road as a sports tyre. But I was pretty happy with how these went on the road. Obviously, I didn't have any dramas sliding out or grip or anything like that. I just don't push it on the street running knobby tyres, which it's just a silly idea to do that if that's what you want to do. If you're going to do that, put a street tyre on it. Very happy with how far they went with the kilometres travelled. The hard compound of the tyre is what makes it last that little bit longer. So I'm pretty pleased with that. If it can get over 5,000 kilometres or around the 5,000 kilometres, that's a pretty good sweet spot for me. There's not too many big adventures that I'm going to go on that are going to be more than that. If they are, there's obviously other tyre brands and models that I can look at, which will probably get a little bit further than these things. But for most kind of adventures that I'm going to go on, these things will do just fine. So for performance, guys, I give the D606s an 8 out of 10. A very good all-rounder off-road and does okay on-road. It does what it needs to do for an adventure tyre. So guys, with a score of 8 for cost value for money, 7 for its longevity and kilometres travelled, and then 8 for its performance, that gives us a total of 23 out of 30 for the Dunlop D606. Pretty good score for this tyre. It's obviously a few little things that it could improve on. I mean, it could obviously last a few more kilometres. On-road performance could improve, but there's never really a unicorn tyre. Every tyre is going to have its compromises in one end or the other. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with how the D606s have performed. And obviously, as I said, the rear tyre is not the original one I put on, so I'm on my second one there. So that probably tells you all you need to know of what I think of these tyres. But that's enough from me, guys, about the Dunlop D606s. I want to hear what you guys have to say out there. Have you ran these tyres and had a good experience, or have you had a bad experience? Either way, let me know down below in the comments. I really want to hear it. Hopefully in the near future, guys, I'll have my hands on plenty of other different tyre brands that I can run and test and give you guys my thoughts and get a bit of a scoreboard going to see which adventure tyre is the best. So that wraps things up here for this tyre review, guys. I appreciate all of you for tuning in and watching this video. Please hit that like button if you did enjoy this and you did get something out of this video. It means the world to me to see this channel slowly but surely growing in numbers, guys. It's awesome, and I really appreciate every single one of you for hitting that subscribe button. So if you're here watching this video and you haven't already, please jump over, hit that subscribe button and join the channel. Hopefully I have plenty more adventure tyre reviews coming your way, but I've got plenty of adventures lined up for 2024, so stick around so you don't miss any of those, guys. But thanks again, ride safe out there. See you all in the next video. Cheers, guys. Whew, can't even remember how to speak. Tyres, that's what we're reviewing. Tyres, these round rubber things. Good, bad, I don't know, just ride. I also filmed this in the morning, but where I filmed it had a whole lot of cicadas, and I went to edit this afternoon and the sound was terrible. So here we are doing it again. Hopefully this one's better. All right, that's enough. Time to go.